Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are taking a look at an Audi SUV that most of you are probably familiar with. Right behind me is the 2021 Audi Q7. Now, as you guys know, this is Audi's largest luxury SUV here in America. It actually comes standard with 3 rows of seats, and we've had the Q7 in America since 2007. It's got some updates for 2021, so in this video we're going to cover all the updates and we're going to find out, is the latest Q7 still a worthy choice if you guys are looking for a luxury family SUV? Stay tuned to find out. So as most of you guys know, the Q7 is Audi's biggest SUV, and it got some pretty significant updates for 2020. Audi gave it a complete overhaul in the front fascia. So for 2021, it stays pretty much the same. They shuffled around some trim packages here and there. This particular one that I'm showing you is the Q7 Prestige, which means it comes standard with a 3-liter turbocharged mild hybrid V6. And I really like the particular color combination that my tester is in this dark blue metallic with the brown interior. You can see the Prestige model includes some more bright work in the front fascia. These full LED headlights you can see are standard equipment. My tester is missing the option for $1,700, which rolls in the laser light LED headlights, which would make the front end look a little bit more distinctive. You can see Audi changed the front fascia where they added the dynamic turn signals in the front end. They changed the look of the headlights. The grille, of course, Audi updated the grille significantly where they added these vertical slats, replacing the horizontal ones. You can also get a black optics package, which would take the silver trim and black it out, which is about $1,800. I think that's a good option to go for as well. And overall, I think the front fascia, the refresh, definitely looks better, although the Q7 doesn't stand out quite as much as it used to compared to, of course, the previous generations. This generation in general, I thought looked more like a hatchback as opposed to an SUV. You can see the wheels. These are the standard 20s that you get with the Prestige model. Audi also offers you a 21-inch wheel with a black optics package, or going up to a 22-inch wheel as well. They're riding on 285/45 series tires. I don't particularly love the way the wheels look, but you can always change that out if you guys go for a different design for the wheel. Now, at 199 inches long, the Q7 is one of the bigger options. This is bigger than something like an X5 or a GLE, but not quite as large as a GLS or an X7, which is about 10 inches longer versus the Q7, which would make this SUV kind of a tweener, although it does come standard with a 3rd row. Now, looking over here at the rear, you can see the taillights have been refreshed. They look very similar to the ones you find on the A6. Of course, they are dynamic turn signals. This silver trim can be blacked out if you guys go for the black optics package. And then unfortunately, Audi's been kind of getting rid of their exhaust tips. They kind of create this fake looking tip at the lower end of the fascia, which is a little disappointing. My tester also has the tow package, which allows you to tow up to 7,700 pounds. Opening up the tailgate area, you can see with the 3rd row seat down, which does come standard, Audi says you get around 45 cubic feet of space. If you want to put these 3rd row seats back up, you can see it's a power folding 3rd row, which is nice. Unfortunately, when you do have the 3rd row up, the space is pretty small. You get only 14.5 cubic feet of space, so you're not going to be putting too many things in here when you actually have 7 people on board. If you fold down all the seats, Audi says you'll get around 70 cubic feet, which is a little bit less than something like the new Genesis GV80 that I just tested. Now, Audi has typically set the standard pretty high when it comes to interiors in the luxury space, and the Q7, the latest one, is still a very nice place to spend time, although I'd argue that it's no longer the benchmark that it once was. And as you can see, looking at the interior at a glance, Audi did update it significantly last year for 2020. When I shut the door, it has a nice solid thunk to it, and my Prestige model has some soft close doors, which comes standard, so you don't even have to slam the door. The key fob did get a slight update as well. This is the newer Audi key. It's a very nice key. It feels good in your hands. The button to fire up the engine is down here by the shifter. And you can see, because this is a mild hybrid system, the engine starts up in a more electrified manner where it doesn't have a traditional crank starter noise. It kind of just whirs to life. This interior, I must say, I like Audi's modern interiors, but there's something about it that doesn't feel quite as special as it once did. And that's kind of a sad thing, because, the latest BMW, the latest Mercedes, the latest Porsches, the latest Genesis interiors have just gotten so nice that the Audi's just doesn't really stand out as much as it used to. I like these seats that my tester has. Now, it is missing the luxury package, which would roll in the massaging seats. Thankfully, I've got the warm weather package, so I've got heated and cooled seats, which is nice, a heated steering wheel. The seats adjust in 12 different ways. I do like the brown leather. This is not the upgraded Napa leather that you get, of course, with the luxury package, which would also roll in an Alcantara on the headliner and on the A and B pillars. Now the door panel you can see is a soft touch injection molded plastic, but most competitors are wrapping this in leather. I do like this gray finished wood, the aluminum trim. Over here, it is padded, but it's not stitched in leather, which is disappointing considering the price of this vehicle and where it sits in the Audi hierarchy. The window switches do feel nice. They're the typical German VW Audi high quality tactile feel. Down here, it's even soft touch plastic, which is nice. But down here, in here, they used to kind of put like a material here, like a fabric material, and now it's just hard touch plastic. The Bang & Olufsen sound system, the 3D stereo system in my tester, is the one that's not the optional one. It sounds really good, however, which most of you will find to your liking if you're an audiophile. The steering wheel is a power tilt and telescoping design. It's a very large steering wheel. It feels good in your hands. It looks good, although I don't love the plastic paddle shifters. I like the metal trim. I love the virtual cockpit. This is the virtual cockpit 2.0. Of course, you can kind of adjust the view however way you'd like it. You can kind of put the GPS in there. You can put your Apple CarPlay in there and whatnot, or your radio information. So of course, that's all really nice to do. This updated Audi MMI touch interface. You've got a 10.1 inch screen here, an 8.6 inch screen down here. This is where you can control your audio system. You can control the heated and cooled seat controls, the heated steering wheel, and then over here you can see wireless CarPlay is included, which is really nice. I really like the way this looks, this setup looks. Although some competitors look a little bit more impressive with their big wall of screens, Audi instead gives you 3 screens, 12 inches, 10.1, and 8.6 inches. My tester, again, of course, is missing the massaging seat function. If I put the vehicle into reverse, you can see a 360 camera, and it does give you the full 360 view, which is nice. Front and rear parking sensors. It also has a parallel parking feature, and you can also go to like this 3D view, and you can kind of show exactly what's around the vehicle, so that's all really cool. Audi does a really good job with their latest MMI interface, of course. This, of course, is something that I really like about a lot of modern Audis. The shifter down here controls the 8-speed auto. You push this little button here to go into reverse, kick it all the way back to go to drive, push this P button to go to park. A lot of piano black plastic in here, which does tend to get a lot of fingerprints on it, especially on this screen as well. So if you guys are a little bit nutty about fingerprint marks, you're not gonna like the MMI touch response system. Glove compartment, you can see, is pretty big. It's damped. It's lined with felt, and at least the Q7 feels really roomy in here, so that's something that Audi pretty much got right. Above me is this massive panoramic sunroof, which does let in a lot of light. It goes all the way back to the second row, which is really nice. The cool seat function works really well, and the heated seat function also works really well. So overall, as a luxury SUV, the Q7 still offers a lot to offer, but it just doesn't feel quite as special and warm and impressive as some of its newer competitors still. Hopping into the second and third row, Audi also offers a lot of space for passengers looking to sit back here. The second row in general, Audi says there's about 39 inches of total legroom. Which, getting back here at 5'7", I have to say, this is a really nice place to spend time. I find there's plenty of headroom for me, plenty of legroom, and there's a lot of nice features in this vehicle as well. Shutting the door and looking at the rest of this interior back here, you can see there's 4-zone automatic climate control. You have heated rear seats, which Audi made standard on the Prestige model for 2021. This just looks really impressive in general. I like the rear seat air vents. I like the way this looks. It's very clean, it's very modern, it's very upscale. You also have features like this pull-up manual sunshades, which you have on both sides, and you also have it on the back window. I've never seen something like that where they put that manual sunshade on the back window. If you open up this area right here, you can see there's a nice folding armrest that gives you a cup holder as well, but no additional storage. The armrest is going to be nice if you guys just carry 2 people in here. Obviously, you have 2 rear seat map pockets, which is really nice, and then the materials back here are also soft touch, but again, they're not wrapped in leather or really nice materials like you find in some of their competitors. Now, to get back into the third row, Audi makes it relatively simple. There's a lever down here that you have to pull, and when you pull that lever, the seat kind of moves forward, and then you pull on that again, and you can see it slides, or it kind of folds out of the way, which the third row on the Q7 is definitely reserved for children. Audi says you get around 29 cubic feet of actual space, or inches of legroom back there. Now, I'm getting back here just to kind of entertain you guys, and I have to admit, this is really small. Pretty comparable to the last Genesis GV80 that I sat in. And wow, this is really tight for somebody that's only 5'7". Okay, as you can see, my knees are up against the seats back here. But at least once I'm back here, I have decent headroom. And the seats themselves are actually well padded, but yeah, this is reserved for little kids or just adults that you really don't like. You really need to move the second row seat up if you want to actually have a little bit of space back here. Under the hood of the latest Q7, you'll find a choice of 3 different powertrains here in America. The base engine is known as the 45 model. That has a 2-liter 4-cylinder with about 248 horsepower. I'd recommend skipping that one. Most of you will probably go for this one. This is a 55 model, which means it comes with a 3-liter turbocharged V6. It's a single turbo V6 with a mild hybrid 48-volt system, which basically means it replaces the drive belts with a starter alternator generator. Which does allow for smoother start-stops. It helps improve the fuel economy, and it adds a little bit of power. This powertrain makes 335 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. It all goes out through an 8-speed torque converter automatic. This is the ZF 8-speed that we all know and like. And fuel economy is rated at 18 in the city, 23 on the highway. As this one sits, it's rated to tow a maximum of 7,700 pounds. The 4-cylinder will tow about 4,500 pounds if you guys go for that tow package. And the Q7 is a relatively heavy vehicle. This one weighs a little over 5,000 pounds. Now for 2021, Audi also added the SQ7, which I'm also waiting to drive. That has a 4-liter twin-turbo V8 with 500 horsepower. So that one, Audi says will do 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds. This one will do it in 5.7 seconds. So I'll be very eager to drive the SQ7 when I do get my hands on that. Now, the last time I drove the Q7, I was actually at an Audi program exactly around this time last year, and this is when they replaced, or this generation is when they replaced the supercharged V6 with this turbocharged V6. And I have to admit, I was kind of disappointed with the engine back then. I was driving at elevation. Now I'm back in my home area. We're kind of back at sea level, and the Q7 definitely isn't the quickest SUV. Even with this optional V6, I find that the vehicle still feels slightly, ever so slightly underpowered. Maybe it's the 8-speed auto isn't programmed to downshift quite as aggressively as I'd like. You can, of course, use the paddles here and take control of the transmission yourself. Luckily, the engine is very smooth. It's that typical Audi smooth V6 with the mild hybrid system, so you've got this really smooth start-stop system. And Audi says, remember, it'll tow a maximum of 7,700 pounds. You'll get to 60 in 5.7 seconds. It feels closer to 6 seconds for me. I wouldn't even bother test driving the 4-cylinder because that one will take roughly 6.9 seconds to get to 60. It'll struggle to move this SUV. It is, remember, over 5,000 pounds, so this is a heavy beast. You really want to drive at least the 6-cylinder. I am looking forward to driving that V8. The V8, of course, will have the noise. It'll have like an extra 170 or 165 horsepower and also way more torque. That's the one that really I would like to drive, but it's going to cost you a pretty penny. Now, when you just drive the vehicle normally, even in dynamic mode, this air suspension is very, very cushy. The ride quality I'm talking about. It just glides right over bumps. The 20-inch wheels just soak up the road imperfections. It's really, really quiet in here. So as a luxury SUV, the Q7 still very much impresses with how quiet and smooth it is, which is kind of the important factor here when you're driving a luxury SUV. The cool thing about this mild hybrid system, before I even came to a stop, the gas engine shut off and it kind of just coasted around, and then when I lift off the brake, it restarts even more seamlessly. So you don't even notice it has start-stop, and that's the whole purpose of these mild hybrid systems. They're not designed to coast around on full electric power alone, just make it so the engine can shut off the gas engine quicker whenever you're stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic. Now, the steering in this car is that typical Audi numb. It's a little bit slow, but it's a luxury SUV, so I kind of expect that. And you just find yourself wanting to take longer road trips in this car, although if I was carrying, 6 or 7 people with all their stuff, I'd probably say it's going to feel like it struggles a little bit more. There is a fair amount of torque, but you're finding a lot of lag between the electric motors, between the turbocharger spooling up, between the transmission waking up and giving you, the lower gears that you need to accelerate. But really, I find that the BMW X5 with a 40i is more fun to drive. The GLE is slightly more luxurious, or a lot more luxurious on the inside. It has that cool bouncy air suspension. The Porsche Cayenne, which is a platform mate of this, is going to be even more sporty, which the Q7, is kind of lacking in that department. And then of course there's that Genesis GV80, which feels a lot like the way the Audi should drive and feel like. But the Audi just feels like it's kind of resting on their laurels a little bit. They're not quite as standout-ish or innovative as they once were. The upcoming Acura MDX, I'm very excited to drive that, of course, which also competes head-on with this car. But really, the Q7 is still a very impressive car. In my week's worth of testing, I averaged around 18, 19 mpg in mixed driving on the highway. You can get close, very close to 25 miles to the gallon. So excellent gas mileage, more efficient, obviously, than the old supercharged V6. But really, in this segment, everything has gotten so nice, including all the electric options like the Teslas, of course, and then there's Audi's own e-tron SUV, which is about $10,000 more expensive than this car to start, but doesn't offer the range, is actually about the same as this car 0 to 60 wise, but feels quicker because it's electric. So really, I wonder what Audi is going to do for the next gen Q7, but it does leave me wanting to drive the SQ7 with that twin turbo V8. Now, the Audi Q7 has always been a really solid choice if you guys are looking for a luxury three-row SUV. And I have to admit, the changes they've made for 2020 and 2021 have kept the Q7 relatively fresh. I'm very eager to drive the SQ7 because, as you guys saw, the Q7 is a little bit boring at times to drive. It's a very fine luxury SUV that doesn't really stand out as much as it used to. I mean, Audi's technology is great, the infotainment system is great, their driver assistance is good, the ride quality is excellent with the air suspension, which is standard on this trim. But really, it leaves me eager to drive the SQ7, which offers 500 horsepower and a twin turbo V8. I think that will give the Q7 a reason or something to help it stand out, especially with excellent offerings like the latest X5, the X7, the GLE and GLS, a Porsche Cayenne, which rides on the same platform as this, and of course that Genesis GV80. And don't forget about the Japanese competitors. Lexus is coming out with a new RX soon, and Acura is about to unveil or release their new MDX, which should also be a very impressive fighter against the latest Q7. But with all that said, if you guys are looking to buy one of these, this car starts at around $54,950 for the base premium with the 4-cylinder. Now, Quattro all-wheel drive is standard. Some competitors make you go for a rear drive model and charge you extra for all-wheel drive. If you guys want the V6, you're gonna have to spend at least $6,000 more to get the V6, looking at around 60 grand. This Prestige 55 model starts at 72 grand. It comes standard with the V6. My tester is pretty light on options, actually, and stickers for a little over $74,000. That does sound like a relatively reasonable price until you look at something like the new GV80, which I just tested, which was 72 grand. That's fully loaded. This one here is missing a lot of options on it, specifically a luxury package, the premium Bang & Olufsen sound, stuff like that, the night vision system. You could option up a Q7 to be well over $85,000, and then the SQ7 can go well over $100,000, which does make the Q7 far less enticing in terms of value. But if you do keep the options in check, you do still get a relatively nice luxury SUV that will still continue to impress. It offers great space in the second and the third row and decent cargo room. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2021 Audi Q7. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook. And as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.